Let's move on to a little CAG shopping news. I know we've been talking about Best Buy and GCU a lot, but there was a thread on CAG that came up about how Best Buy will basically cancel your GCU account now if there's signs of abuse. In this case, it was buying, I think, three of the same title or something like that. But the interesting thing was a post inside this thread from a guy who owns a small video game retailer somewhere. And he went on to say that he spent $65,000 at Best Buy last year and similar amounts in previous years so he could stock his stores with cheap video games, because buying them from Best Buy is cheaper than buying them from his distributor.
That's crazy.
So this is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
And of course, like his GCU accounts would get flagged eventually and canceled, but he was able to go and start new ones or buy them on the black market somewhere. What'd he say? He would rebuy new accounts every 3 or 4 months. And it didn't matter if he was spending another $30 every 3 months, because, he's doing such a big volume. Anyway, maybe what's happening is that...
I'm happy for his volume.
Yeah, now he got no volume. So maybe what's happened...
Why would you post this on CAG anyways?
Right. I don't know why. It's like a trolling. It is a trolling. Oh, we're going to be talking about trolling later, by the way, with this whole Steam thing. But yeah, I don't know why. People like to do that. They like to post. They like to troll. And this is like a soft troll. He says, no point in my story except just to post it. I guess he wanted to get it off his chest.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a form of therapy.
Maybe just be better people. How about that?
Right. He knew it was wrong.
Well, they're not a wholesaler.
Sure.
No, but it's still...
It violates their terms of service for the...
Right, you're not supposed to buy more than 3.
And yeah, so maybe what's happened is that Best Buy's just realized that this is happening, and it's sort of like an emergency, because I'm sure this isn't the only guy who's figured out that this is something you should do if you want to make money as a indie game retailer. So maybe they did like an emergency shutdown, and it's going to come back somehow with more security on it.
Hopefully. I mean,
how
can you prevent it, though? I don't know how you prevent it.
I know, because it's already tied to a phone number. So people are willing to sell their accounts
you could definitely make this harder, because you can ban people from going to the store, certainly. Because Blockbuster went through this same type of thing as well, where people...
I was going to say, it depends on how he's buying all... If he's going into a store and spending $65,000 on games at one time, I mean, it should just be a thing in the system where if you go up to the counter or online and you put 4 games in your cart, then it only takes the discount off of the first 3, and then the discount just doesn't work anymore.
Here's an interesting bit from this post. I should just read it straight out. Many other local independent game stores did the same thing at our Best Buy. Management at the store encouraged all of us to buy as much as we can. We had a friendly working relationship with the store. They would get all midnight releases because the numbers the Best Buy had were so large compared to the rest of the stores in the region. And then he goes on to say that his GCU would get canceled every few months. So yeah. Sounds like a widespread problem.
That's crazy.
If it was widespread in his area, it's probably widespread across the country. So yeah,
that makes me upset. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Just, it's not that important to make the money off of screwing everybody else over. Is my feeling.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty much
it's a pretty shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially, we're all supposed to be like a community, even though it doesn't seem like that sometimes. But the one thing we all have in common, no matter what, is at some point we gotta pay for the games. We gotta buy the games. That's how they get into the house, and they killed the best way of buying those games. Hopefully, it can come back.
And it might lead to a quicker demise for Best Buy. So, thanks, indie shop in wherever you are.
Right.
that will then go out of business after that because...
Right.
And then where will I buy a television?
Right.
Because I'm not buying a TV on Amazon because it's too difficult to return. It doesn't work.
You'll buy it at Target.
Yeah. At least I'll get 5% off.
Oh, now I'm sad. Oh, here's a question from @GamingDad. He said, with the end of GCU, is GameStop's Elite Pro membership the next best thing? Shipwreck, you're probably the only one who knows what it is.
I don't know what that is.
You
Probably
don't?
not. I don't know.
It probably sucks.
I bet it's good if you trade stuff in. If you're
a power trader.
Yeah, if you're flipping games or doing that type of stuff, I'm sure it's fantastic.
I haven't done that in such a long time. I used to do that. I remember living in the city and getting like my bag of games together when they were having the deals.
Yep.
Like trade in 4 games, get a guaranteed $1 billion. And we used to go to the GameStop. We used to walk. It'd be like me and it would be Laura and I and Zelda, who was young then and could walk like
the wind.
Almost. Yeah. So we used to all go together, and we always used to run into people. It was fun. That was like our Sunday activity.
Holding up the line for everybody at GameStop with your big bag of games.
Pretty much. There'd always be some kid in there wearing like 3 polo shirts and there with all the collars up, whose daddy was buying them everything.
I would probably shop at GameStop more if there was a separate area that just did the trade-ins. Like there was just one dude at a separate desk.
I don't think it's that big an issue anymore.
I don't see people trading in stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it's. I think you just haven't been in a GameStop in a long time. Now when I walk in there, well, the one by me is mostly knickknacks anyway. Not that many games, more toys.
Uh-huh.
As one other person described it to me, he's like, "Oh, you're near the Levittown store." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, that's a 50-50 store." And I go, I don't know what that means. He goes, it's 50% Think Geek and 50%. Yeah. It's 50% toys and 50% games. I'm like, oh, all right. That's good to know.
Yeah. It seems like an interesting strategy. Although a lot of GameStops have closed down around here, at least. The one in my town closed and one of them in Roosevelt Field closed.
Well, that's because they had 2.
I know, but they were there forever.
I know.
Like forever, ever.
I know.
10 years at least. Right?
I've lived in this town for 40 years. Right. I am aware of how long the GameStop
it's a big deal is what I'm saying.
I know, because it used to be a Software Etc. and GameStop, and when the companies merged, instead of closing
too much information.
they just changed the signage on one of them.
Right, they're too lazy. The rent was probably cheap.
Probably. Again, they had to have been there for over 20 years.
And some other trivia for our listeners. Roosevelt Field is where Charles Lindbergh took off from his big transatlantic flight.
Yep, he had a big sign on the back of the plane that said, "I hate Jews," and off he went.
I think that happened later.
Maybe.
Anyway,